Okay, it has been a hot minute since I've done an episode. I apologise for that. We were incapacitated for most of the weekend, but I did put some predictions out. I'm going to be a little bit different because I want to focus on what's actually interesting here, and it's the playoff scenarios. With 2 weeks to go, it is wild the number of outcomes that can happen. There's one where 6 teams can finish 7-7, competing for 3 spots. Yeah, it's pretty outrageous, but I'm just going to try and call out some key matchups and some irrelevant matchups over the next 2 weeks, so you kind of know what to watch out for. Yeah, so anyway, we'll do a quick review of the matchups and against my predictions, and then we'll go through waivers and everything, and then we'll get into the breakdown. So first of all, in week 12, I predicted myself to beat Numbnuts. It was a bloody squeaker. It came down to Sunday Night Football. Geno Smith went to overtime against the Vegas Raiders. There was a catch on the sideline where DK got overruled. That was almost enough to put him ahead, but it got overruled. They punted, and then Josh Jacobs ran for 85 yards for a touchdown to end the game. Saved my bacon. Thank you, Josh Jacobs. Overall, pretty good scores on both sides. I should really have taken Tyler Higbee out, but I was in a hole of despair on Sunday. So that's my excuse anyway. So yeah, I got the first one there. Matt, I would say he confidently dispatched Ed, but no, not really. Played Jimmy Garoppolo. I was telling him to play Trevor. Trevor would have been my choice. I definitely said that. And you didn't go with it because I don't know why, to be honest, but Keenan Allen looks like a good pickup for you. On Ed's side, the running back situation got bad quickly. If Etienne hadn't died, he probably would have been in for a good game there. Just needed a couple more touchdowns from you guys to make that play. But overall, yep, Matt got it done. Next up, I picked Kinch to beat Connor. I've done these in a very strange order, haven't I? Yeah, I picked Kinch to beat Connor, and this one was another squeaker as well. Now, I mostly picked this while I was in the room to just annoy Connor, but yeah, ended up being a right squeaker. 129 points. He needed Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith to score a hair over 30 on Monday Night Football, and they got the job done. So yeah, just some outrageous performances from Godwin and Higgins, and usual suspects on this team. Nicholas Chubb getting it done. On Kinch's side, he's got a lot to be hopeful for moving forwards. Like this year's not the year. He's 4-8. There's not a playoff scenario where a 4-8 team can make it. But we'll go through a little bit of why that is. But yeah, Pacheco looks good, Wilson looks good, Burks looks good, Hawkinson looks good, Derrick Henry is still Derrick Henry. Yeah, there's a lot of options going into next year, and got a lot of picks as well that I gave you, so cannot complain. Well, you can complain obviously because you'd like to win games when you score 120 points, but there you go. And then I picked Nick to get it done over Skell, and Skell gave him a scare as well. Skell putting up 123 points. Justin Herbert looks to finally have got it together with what's his face in the room. Yeah, and again, it comes down to Monday Night Football. You have was it Monday Night Football? Oh, it's Sunday Night Football. Yeah, I got it mixed up. But yeah, it's just 30 points from Miles Sanders, absolutely outrageous. Yeah, and just a hell of a lot of points scored, really. Like, to lose by less than a touchdown, to have, I mean, in week 12 we had 1, 2, 3, 4 games decided by less than a touchdown. That's absolutely incredible, really. But yeah, a good outing from Skelly. It would have been nice to get a win there, as it would have made the playoffs a lot easier for you. But now, again, most scenarios are going to rely on you getting points for, and that's not in your favour, unfortunately. So Yeah, but I mean, again, the easiest thing to do is win your next 2 games, which are doable with the squad you've got. You know, if you put up 130 points, yeah, there's a risk you could beat anyone. I forgot to say, why does it keep doing that? So week 12. So then I picked yeah, so Nick got the win against Connor. Picked Damien to beat Mike, which he did handily, 150 points, powered by 45 points from Josh Jacobs, and then yeah, just some great performances. 17 from your tight end, DJ Moore coming back from the dead, and DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, just lovely performances. But Josh Jacobs has been an absolute powerhouse in this the whole season. Really, there's only been like 1 game where he was injured or something. Where he's been disappointing. But yeah, great performance from Damien, 150 points. He's not going to do that every week. Josh Jacobs won't score that every week. So yeah, don't read too much into it, is what I'd say, but still a good performance. And then Mark lost by 2 points to Jim. Bit of a sickener, really. A poor performance from Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard. Christian Watson did all that he could on Sunday night. Amari Cooper, Michael Pittman is well. Michael Pittman was the Monday Night Football game, and he did everything he could. For Michael Pittman, this is an insanely good stat line. So, yeah, bit unfortunate, really. And again, as a 4-8 team, your team does not deserve to be 4-8, is what I'd say. Yeah, it's a rough spot to be in. But there we go. That kind of leaves us with the table as it is. So that's where we were in week 12, after week 12. And we go to week 13. So before we get into the playoff scenarios, and I'm going to try and go through each team that has a possibility of making it and their best possible results for that to happen. Yeah, we'll just do a quick breakdown of transactions. So during Sunday, just a lot of trash getting picked up. AJ Green in, Jalen Warren out. Jarek McKinnon, kicker, Gerald Everett, fine, whatever. Alan Robinson on the trash heap, you love to see it. Elijah Mitchell got injured again. Deion Jackson, I don't mind added. Greg Dulcich, I basically straight swapped him for Jeff Wilson. You love to see it. Blah, 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 blah. So, waiver claims. Darius Slayton. So I think he had a pretty. It's a good snap count, but it's a relatively quiet game. I'm not sure why you'd go $11 here, Damien. Unless they must be in bye week hell or something. But again, I'm not going to look too closely at matchups this week. I'm focusing on the playoffs. Zonovan Knight, for a start, the name is incredible. Jim gets in with a $10 bid. This is far too cheap. So Michael Carter went out with an injury. James Robinson was a healthy scratch. This guy came in and was the guy. I don't know if he will be. They'll probably bring James Robinson back in, but yeah, fuck it. Zonovan Knight, coolest name. Why not? Zay Jones had a monster game this past week. Damien gets in with a $7 bid. Everyone beat a lot of people on $0 bids, but yeah, I think Damien must be in bye week hell coming up, hence he's bidding on a lot of wide receivers. Then we had Benny Snell picked up for $6, so I think Najee took an injury, so that makes sense there. Matt puts a $1 bid in on the Titans. They're playing against Philly. So I think what you've done is you've looked ahead at week 16 and 17 and the Chargers for the playoffs, and you've got a bit excited, but you're not making the playoffs, pal. No, I'm kidding. You might do. Nick gets the Manders defense, dropping AJ Green. I don't really. Well, New York Giants twice in a row with a bye in between. Yeah, that's lovely. But the Giants are sneaky good, so who knows? Jermichael Hasty picked up for a $0 bid by Kinch right as I'm about to play against him. Fucking hell, guys. I'm blaming myself here as well. Like, unbelievable. Mark gets Foster Moreau picked up for a $0 bid. I like that. If he gets a touchdown, you're happy. Matt Collins, two $0 bids there. I don't really care about Matt Collins, to be honest. He had a good game against Seattle, but there's a lot of there's a lot of injuries. Sure. DeAndre Carter picked up. had a pretty good day. I think you're chasing the points there, though. I doubt he makes your starting lineup, so meh. We'll see. Elijah Moore picked up again. I think you're chasing the points there. It was only 2 catches, not a lot of snaps, but with Mike White in the game, it is exciting. And then Mark grabs Isaiah McKenzie again. Maybe chasing the points, but 10 targets is very, very nice. They don't play Detroit every week though, so you've got a couple of good defenses coming up. Maybe that's not the best thing. So then pickups, we had Atlanta Falcons picked up, we had the Miami D picked up. I grabbed Evan Engram. Miami, like, I keep trashing these guys, but they just keep scoring points. They just keep. Okay, Mike. I think right. You know what? I've just changed my mind. You need to explain yourself. They've got San Francisco away, the Chargers away, Buffalo away, Green. Like, come on. Are you throwing? What's going on there? And then yeah, just a couple of random pickups there. That's fine. Okay. So instead of doing a normal predictions, instead of doing like a big breakdown, let's go into the playoff matchups and scenarios. Okay, let us go through the playoff scenarios. Weirdly, everyone down to 11th place can still make the playoffs currently. It is wildly unlikely though. So we'll start off in the lower scenarios and work our way up to see who's got the likelihood of actually making it. Starting off with Kinch and Mark on 4 and 8. So what you need to happen, you need to win out for a start to go 6 and 8. And then you want as many other teams to be on 6 and 8 with you as well. So that means you want Matt plays Jim this week and Ed plays Jim next week. So you want Jim to make sure that he wins both of his games to give those guys losses. You then want them both to lose out. Damien plays Skelton in week 14, so you need Damien to lose to Nick this week, beat Skelton next week. That puts everyone, so Jim would be 6 and 8. That would put everyone from Matt down. Matt would be in 6 and 8. So it puts Jim on 8 and 6. Matt on 6 and 8. Everyone else would be 6 and 8, all the way down to 11th place, meaning the 6th place spot would be decided by points for from everyone from 6 to 11. Unfortunately, that does mean you need to outscore Matt Hall. So Mark needs to outscore him by 100 points. Kinch needs to outscore him by 200 points. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't think either of you are doing that. So I'm calling this scenario too outrageous. You're done. You're out of the playoffs. You're here to be flies in the ointment, and you do get the chance to do it as well, which will be very, very funny. Okay. Next one to look at is Damien. So Damien is 5 and 7. His best possible record is 7 and 7. And you want as many people as possible from 4 downwards to finish 7 and 7 with you. So you need to win out for a starting point. You need Ed to beat Jim in week 14, and you need Ed to lose in week 13. And you also need Matt to lose in week 14 as well. Matt losing both weeks is very good for you. If he wins, then he just takes up a... If he wins week 14, I forget who he's playing. He plays Mark. So he could win week 14, but it's easier for you if he loses out. You could end up with all of you on 7 and 7. And myself as well, fighting for 3 playoff spots. So you want to win out. Matt needs to lose to Jim. Ed needs to then beat Jim, and then Damien will beat Skelly, which will make him 7 and 7 as well. And if I lose out, it makes it easier. But I'm kind of irrelevant. It's basically the difference between 6 teams fighting for 3 spots and 5 teams fighting for 2 spots. If it's 6 teams fighting for 3 spots, you would then need to be in the top 3 points scored out of that group of people I just pointed out earlier. That would mean you need to overtake Jim. So to do that, you need to outscore him by 60 points. I don't think that... well, if Josh Jacobs keeps doing what he's doing, I can see that happening. I can definitely see that happening. But the dream dies if you lose either of your weeks. If I like to be fair, if you win both of your week, yeah, you need to win out. If you lose a game, you're out. You're done. It's game over. Except for the outrageous scenario above. So yeah, win out. You need Matt to lose to Jim, which is going to be a common theme in a lot of these. You then need Ed to beat Jim but lose week 13. You then need to beat Scale week 14. That puts a lot of you on 7 and 7. And you'll be competing for some spaces, and you'll need to outscore Jim in that time period, which means getting over 60 points. So next up we have the 6 and 6 crowd, and again, all of these guys could finish 8 and 6, so we're kind of looking from number 2 to number 8 at this point. Again, there are scenarios where you go 7 and 7, kind of fits into Damien's scenario. In this 6 and 6 crowd, there's 2 people who are in the tailing crowd, and then there's one game where one of you gets a real hard path if you lose. Okay, so for Ed and for Skelton, the key game to watch this week is Jim versus Matt. If Jim beats Matt, the way it all then shakes down for Ed is real simple, winning in, because Jim beating Matt puts Matt on 6 and 7. If then Ed goes and beats Jim, if he wins in week 13 as well, it's winning in. Real simple. He'll be 8 and 6. He'll have sent 2 people to 7 and 7. He's in, no matter what. He'd be at worst competing with Skell for points 4, which he is currently losing, but yeah, it's winning in. If Matt beats Jim, and so this is all dependent on Ed beating Mark this week. If Matt then beats Jim, he needs me to drop a game, Skell to drop a game, or Matt to drop a game in week 14 and stay ahead of Skelton on points 4. Effectively, you need to win, and you need someone else to drop out of the race, or drop into the race, I should say. So Skell dropping out, Matt dropping out, or me dropping down and giving you a chance to overtake me on points 4. Yeah, it's pretty rough. pretty rough. If you do drop a game, so if you do go to 6 and 7 this week, everything that's above is the same. So you would basically you'd need myself to drop a game. You'd need me to lose both my games. You would need Skell to lose a game, or you'd need Matt to lose a game. And you'd need to outscore Jim again by 30 points. So you'd have a lot of you on 7 and 7. Effectively, the only way you make it is if you outscore Jim. For Skelton, the situation's basically the same as the above. Win this week. If Jim beats Matt, for you, you then need Ed to beat Jim for you, but then it's winning in. If Jim beats Matt and Jim beats Ed, even better, it's winning in. Because both of those guys can only go 7 and 7, you can go 8 and 6, puts you into the 6th place playoff spot. So yeah, Jim beating Matt. Jim actually winning both of these games is great for you if you can win both your games. If you drop a game, you then need Matt to drop a game to have a chance, or me to drop a game and go into 7-7, and then overtake me on points 4, which is plus 40 points. If you lose both your games, you're into the outrageous scenario up here, where you need everyone to lose out, and you then need to overtake Jim on points 4, which again, you're only 25 points behind. Not that hard to do. So yeah, it's a pretty wild scenario, but for you, Jim beating Matt for Ed and Skell is the ideal scenario, because then if they both win this week, it's just winning in for both of them. So yeah, it's quite an interesting dynamic, really. We then get into the top half of that table where you think you'd be more confident because you're ahead on points for, but this game against each other really, really, really decides things. But yeah, so Jim, if you beat Matt, for you need to beat Ed and stay ahead of Skelly on points for, because again, you'd then be 8 and 6, you'd be untouchable. To be honest, if you beat Matt, I think it's just winning in actually because you're playing Ed in week 14. Yeah, so you beat Matt, you are it's winning in, nice and simple. If you lose to Matt, then you need to beat Ed in week 14, and you need to have Skell drop a game, me to drop 2 games, and or Matt to drop a game as well to put them on 7 and 7. And then it's a case of going ahead on points for. So to overtake me, you'd need 25 points, so you'd need me to drop 2 and overtake me by 25. You need Matt to lose week 14 and then score 150 to overtake him. You'd need Skell, again, that's kind of where we're at. If you'd need Skell to drop a game and stay ahead of him points for. And if Ed beats you and you beat Matt, you then need to stay ahead of him on points for as well to have a chance. It's, yeah, really, really messy. Yeah, basically win against Matt this week. The scenarios become really, really simple. It's just beat Ed and you're in. Okay, Matt. If I'll just look at the other side of this. If Matt wins, you're winning in your final week very, very easily. If you lose to Jim, you then need you don't want. You then need Jim to beat Ed in week 14 to put everyone on 7 and 7, and then you also need Skell to drop a game, and you need Dave. So that means Damien beating him, but then that puts you all in the points for game, but you're massively ahead. So yeah, but you do then need to win in week 14. So yeah, you can afford to drop one game. If you drop both games, you're then needing Skell to drop both games. Yeah, it is very if you lose both games, you then need Jim to beat Ed in week 14, and Damien to lose at least one. So you need Damien to lose in week 13. Basically, if Damien loses this week, you're golden. If you beat Jim this week, you're golden. Real complicated, right? Real fucking complicated. Points for wise though, like there's a very rare scenario where a lot of people can finish 7 and 7 ahead of you. So if Damien gets 7 and 7, Ed you know what I mean? There's that weird scenario where Skell could win one and then give Damien a win, and then Ed could beat Jim. Jim beats you. That puts a lot of people in 7 and 7. You're on 6 and 8, and you're out, which would be really funny. But I don't think it's going to happen. Okay, so that's the 6 and 6 crowd. If I had to put a number on it, I think Matt beats Jim this week, and then next week we're looking at Ed versus Jim for a playoff spot. But yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, me on 7 and 5, very much in the driving seat. Real simple, winning in versus Kinch. I am in. Sorry, if I win versus Kinch this week, 8 and 5, then it's winning in week 14. If I win versus Kinch this week and lose week 14, I just need to stay ahead of Skelton on points for, as there's a very specific scenario where we could have Skell, Jim, Connor, Ed, we could have Matt, Ed, Skell, myself, all on 6 and 8, all competing for the last 3 playoff spots. So I just need to stay ahead of Skell in that scenario, which is a 40-point lead. It's tight, isn't it? Real fucking tight. Okay. Week 14. If I lose versus Kinch, then I need to win week 14 and again stay ahead of Skell on points for. Or if I lose both games, so I can lose versus Kinch, I can lose versus Connor, and I just need to stay ahead on points for of Jim, Ed, Skell. or Ed or Skell drop one single game. So again, if Ed or Skell lose a game, I'm pretty set. Yeah. Anyway, win versus Kinch, then it's winning in. Or if Ed or Skell drop a game, I'm pretty set. So yeah, okay. Oh, nice and simple now. The crazy, crazy, crazy scenario that we have of Connor joining a great big 8-6 mess. So win either game, Connor is in. He's through. Same with Nick on 8-4. You're both very much in the driving seat. Win either game, you're in. If you lose either game, so if you lose both games, there's a scenario where Skelton can win both. We could have Ed win both of his games, and we could have Matt win both of his games. So that would put you on 8-6 alongside 3 other people competing for 2 playoff spots. So you would need to then stay ahead of Skell and Ed on points for. You're currently only 4 points ahead of Skelly on points for and 15 points ahead of Ed on points for. So again, we'll just go through it again. Skell wins both of his games. Ed wins both of his games, which hands Jim a loss. And Matt wins both of his games. If you lose both of your games, again, I could lose both of my games as well. Sorry, I can't lose both my games. That's going to put me on 8-6 as well. So that means 6 of us on 8-6 competing for 4 spots. You just need to outscore the bottom 2. And you're only leading by 4 points at the minute. Do you feel confident? Okay. For Nick, it's the same as Connor. He just needs to win either game and he's through. Even if he loses both games, which is possible, we could have everyone from here down in a great big soup, right? We could have Skelly win out. We could have Ed win out. We can have Matt win out. We could have me beat Connor and lose to Kinch, and then we could also have Connor lose out and Nick lose out. 8-6 everyone, so that's from number 2 down to number 8. Sorry, number 7, I think. Yeah, number 7, because Jim would then be 6 and 8. He'd have to lose 2 games. All in a great big soup. You then just have to make sure you're at the bottom points for. I'm sure you'll be fine, Connor. I'm sure not a single thing will go wrong for you. Anyway, that's the playoff things, the playoff scenarios. I think this week it's got to be all eyes on Matt versus Jim, as that kind of keys a lot of the scenarios I've talked about. Yeah, everyone else who's in the chasing pack, just win. If you just win your games, it all becomes a lot simpler. It gets a lot harder for those two, depending on whoever loses. Yeah, just get your game won. And week 14, we will see what happens. So yeah, that one's a little bit different to what I usually do. Hope you enjoy going through this mess. I'll post it in the chat so you can have a read, see what you think. And yeah, I'll do some matchup previews later in the week.